Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful today. Why are you here? Liam is horrified to see Reese prepare him for surgery. Grace defrauds Bill of $1 million, is this a false or genuine Liam cure? She deceives Bill Spencer on the CBS soap opera, and Liam Spencer has surgery. Yes, she received assistance from another medical practitioner. However, she lied to Bill about this dangerous experimental treatment. Bill Spencer was determined to figure out how to save Liam Spencer after watching Bold and the Beautiful earlier this week. But then Bill's $1 million and Grace Buckingham entered the picture. With this covert operation, it appears that Grace is up to more than meets the eye. She also gave off the impression of being desperate to obtain the other doctor the $1 million. However, it now seems to be her fee in this. Beautiful and brave, Bill Spencer's pain. Those close to Bill Spencer accuse him of being responsible for Luna Nozawa's killing of Liam Spencer, which causes him to feel a great deal of remorse on the Bold and the Beautiful this week. Liam is recovering nicely from his gunshot wound. However, Liam is now dealing with a different medical issue that was previously determined to be fatal. Bill finds out about Liam Spencer's fatal tumor diagnosis when Hope Logan lashes out at the publishing tycoon. Bill trembles as Hope Logan and Steffi Forrester accuse him of being a bad father. Rich Forrester also discusses how Bill's self-centered actions caused Liam to struggle for his life after Luna shot him. However, Grace Buckingham calmly absorbs all of this. B&B, Liam Spencer was within Grace Buckingham's purview. Ever since Liam was admitted to the hospital, Grace Buckingham has been closely monitoring him. Even Finn once observed that she seemed particularly interested in Liam's case. However, why? Grace subtly informs Bill that there could be a chance to save his kid after Liam Spencer awakens from his coma. Then, in the promo for Bold and Beautiful, we see Grace staring at the screen of her cell phone, which shows the $1 million total. Grace informs Bill this week on Bold and the Beautiful that the hospital is not allowed to perform or even discuss this particular experimental operation. She assures Liam and Bill, however, that she has complete faith in her colleague's ability to succeed and give Liam a second opportunity at life. Bill sneezes when he hears that it will cost roughly $1 million. His goal is to save Liam, not to make money. Fans, however, are taken aback when the procedure begins and Grace cuts Liam's head with the knife. Liam was whisked away by Bill and Grace, who were bold and beautiful. In a last-ditch effort to save Liam Spencer, Bill Spencer takes him out of the hospital this week on Bold and the Beautiful. He was signed out as his attending physician by Grace. Since it is against the law to carry out this experimental surgery in a hospital, it is done at a surgical center that they have paid to utilize. Liam gave Bill and Grace permission to carry out this procedure. He is therefore in favor of this. Bill and Grace, however, keep it a secret from Liam's family and friends as well as the other hospital medical staff. Red flags are raised as others begin to realize he is no longer there. But Grace on Bold and the Beautiful feels a little strange. It depicts her checking a text message on her phone that contains $1 million. You have to assume that is her fee after you see who performed the procedure. Years ago, Grace was wed to Dr. Reese Buckingham. He was the physician who abducted Hope and Liam's child. At the time he committed this act for financial gain, she was not his wife. However, some admirers question whether she shares some of his traits. You can't help but wonder if perhaps something was passed down from your previous marriage to this dishonest crook. What did Grace Buckingham do to Liam Spencer, according to the Bold and the Beautiful? What Grace did in that operating room, however, is the true question in this Bold and Beautiful plot. She said that because the tumor was gone, Liam now has a chance. And verifying it with another brain MRI for a before and after comparison is simple enough. Or did she fabricate this procedure by using her scalpel to make a superficial cut on her scalp and then suturing it up? It's possible that Grace Buckingham will quickly flee Los Angeles with the money if she fabricated this for a fast $1 million. Alternatively, Bold and the Beautiful could take things in a different direction. Although Grace couldn't legally perform this surgery, it's possible that she thought she had the expertise to do it. She therefore saw an opportunity to test her theory with Liam. She could never claim credit for the procedure if she performed it because she thought she could and it turned out to be successful. Rather, an unidentified physician emerges as the protagonist. For this miraculous treatment, the doctor who pretended to be clueless about how to execute the surgery will go down in history. $1 million surgery saved Liam Spencer's life. Liam Spencer and the alleged life-saving procedure that will cost him millions of dollars. For all the information you require, continue reading below. $1 million surgery saved Liam Spencer's life. The most recent B&B teasers indicate that Bill Spencer will question Dr. Grace Buckingham about whether there is any chance of saving Liam. He has been fighting a brain tumor, as readers are already aware. As if that weren't enough, Luna has also shot him and almost killed him. But in another shot, the allegedly dishonest doctor is seen on her phone taking a large payment. As if that weren't enough, Finn and Bridget are heard talking about how this isn't standard practice and procedures. Many folks are asking what amusing activity Grace is involved in. She is playing Russian roulette with Liam's life. Why is that? Will Liam Spencer pass away? It's obvious that someone will have questions and would demand quick answers. Bill Spencer may be the one to uncover the truth before it's too late, even though Steffi and Hope are sobbing uncontrollably. Let's hope he takes quick action because Liam's life is in the hands of a doctor who may kill him for her own financial gain and self-serving motives. It goes without saying that the internet has a lot to say about the issue. Bill will undoubtedly learn the truth about Liam's condition and whether Dr. Grace is lying to him about it, according to several comments. Bill will do all in his power to help Liam. Dr. Grace Buckingham maneuvers within the high-stakes, emotionally ravaged world surrounding Liam Spencer's critical condition on The Bold and the Beautiful. Bill Spencer, a titan brought low by overwhelming guilt following the chain of events culminating in Luna Nozawa's gunshot wounding his son, is drowning in accusations, Hope Logan's righteous fury, Steffi Forrester's protective scorn, Ridge Forrester's condemnation of his selfish legacy. Liam's initial recovery from the bullet wound offers a cruel illusion of hope, swiftly shattered by the diagnosis of a terminal, inoperable brain tumor, a death sentence Hope inadvertently reveals to Bill amidst her tirade. It is within this crucible of paternal anguish and familial condemnation that Grace Buckingham, a figure whose watchful intensity over Liam's case had already drawn the quiet notice of Dr. Finn Finnegan, steps out of the sterile hospital shadows and into the murky waters of $1 million proposition that reeks equally of miraculous salvation and calculated con artistry. Her approach to Bill is cloaked in the language of desperate hope, an experimental procedure, too radical, too unproven for the confines and ethics of the hospital, known only to a trusted, unnamed colleague operating on the fringes of accepted medicine, a procedure offering Liam a second chance at life, a phrase tailor-made to pierce Bill Spencer's guilt-ridden heart. The price tag? A cool $1 million, a sum Bill dismisses with the flicker of an eyelid, his vast wealth meaningless against the specter of losing his son. Yet, the narrative meticulously plants seeds of profound doubt. The preview's lingering shot of Grace contemplating a text message displaying precisely $1 million feels less like logistical planning and more like a predator admiring the bait. Her palpable eagerness to secure the funds, ostensibly for the other doctor, clashes violently with the shocking reveal in the operating room. It is Grace herself who takes up the scalpel, who makes the critical incision into Liam Spencer's skull, performing this highly risky, experimental neurosurgery she claimed required a specialized, external colleague. This single act transforms the narrative from a desperate medical gamble into a potential high-stakes heist played out on an operating table. The logistical execution of the procedure only deepens the shadows. Grace, leveraging her position as Liam's attending physician, facilitates his clandestine removal from the hospital, a move shrouded in secrecy, deliberately hidden from Liam's family, friends, and the hospital's legitimate medical oversight. The surgery occurs in a paid-for surgical center, a setting chosen explicitly because the procedure is illegal within the regulated hospital environment, immediately casting it as ethically and professionally suspect. While Liam, clinging to any lifeline, consented, and Bill, blinded by paternal desperation, sanctioned it, the very secrecy screams of impropriety. As loved ones discover Liam's disappearance, alarm bells ring, their fear a stark counterpoint to the sterile, secretive room where Grace wielded the instruments of either salvation or destruction. The question hanging thick in the air is agonizingly simple yet devastatingly complex. What did Grace Buckingham actually do to Liam Spencer? The show masterfully presents two diametrically opposed possibilities, each carrying profound narrative weight. The first, and most sinister, is that the entire operation was an elaborate, grotesque scam. Did Grace, perhaps channeling the unscrupulous tendencies of her ex-husband, the notorious baby kidnapper Dr. Reese Buckingham, a past association the show deliberately invokes to stoke audience suspicion, merely make a superficial incision on Liam's scalp? Did she then theatrically stitch it closed, fabricating a complex surgical narrative while leaving the fatal tumor untouched? In this scenario, the secret location, the rushed secrecy, the focus on the money, and her hands performing the act she attributed to another all point towards a cold, calculated fraud. The $1 million wasn't funding a miracle, it was the target of an audacious grift, exploiting a father's love and a dying man's hope. Grace's declaration that Liam now has a chance would be a monstrous lie, easily exposed by a simple follow-up MRI comparing pre- and post-surgery scans, an inevitable step that would become her potential undoing. Should this be true, the logical climax involves Grace attempting a frantic escape from Los Angeles, the stolen cash her only prize, leaving devastation and betrayal in her wake, particularly for Bill, whose guilt would be compounded by catastrophic naivete. However, the bold and the beautiful tantalizingly dangles a second, equally dramatic possibility, that Grace Buckingham, however unethically and illegally she proceeded, genuinely believed in her ability to save Liam. Perhaps driven by a complex mix of professional ambition, a desire for redemption, either personal or vicarious, given her association with Reese, or a maverick's conviction in her own untested theories, she saw Liam's terminal diagnosis and Bill's desperate wealth as the perfect, albeit morally bankrupt, opportunity. In this version, she did attempt the experimental surgery, driven by a belief in her own skills and the potential of her method, even knowing she could never perform it legally or claim credit openly. The secrecy wasn't just to hide a scam, but to circumvent the rigid, life-saving but innovation-stifling protocols of legitimate medicine. The $1 million bought not just the facility but her silence and the anonymity required. The profound tragedy here lies in the aftermath. If the surgery was successful and Liam miraculously recovers, the credit cannot go to Grace. Her role must remain buried in the shadows of illegality and ethical violation. The colleague she invented, the phantom surgeon, would paradoxically become the hailed miracle worker, the doctor who made medical history while Grace, the actual architect of the cure, remains condemned by her methods, unable to reveal her breakthrough or bask in the glory, forever tainted by the deception and the stolen million. Her reward isn't fame or fortune, but the hollow knowledge of a success she can never claim, potentially driving her further into isolation or sparking new conflicts. This path explores the Faustian bargain of medical advancement, the ends potentially justifying the means, but at a devastating personal and professional cost to the practitioner. The brilliance of this storyline lies in its masterful manipulation of audience perception and soap opera conventions. Grace Buckingham is positioned perfectly on the knife edge between villain and anti-hero. Her connection to Reese Buckingham is not merely backstory, it's a narrative landmine, priming viewers to expect the worst, making every concerned glance from Finn or every shot of her looking at the money feel like confirmation of guilt. Yet, the show also allows for glimpses of something more, a fierce, almost obsessive focus on Liam that could be interpreted as professional dedication or personal investment, however misplaced. Bill Spencer's vulnerability is palpable and relatable. His willingness to grasp at any straw, ethical or not, stems from a primal, paternal love amplified to breaking point by guilt. The secrecy, the illegal setting, the hands-on involvement contradicting her initial story, these are not plot holes, but carefully laid breadcrumbs leading to the central, agonizing question of authenticity. Is Grace a predator exploiting unimaginable grief, a chilling echo of her ex-husband's avarice? Or is she a flawed, desperate scientist/physician willing to break every rule in a genuine, albeit misguided, attempt to defy death itself? The $1 million is the MacGuffin that drives the action, but the true currency is trust, and Grace Buckingham has bankrupted it. Whether she performed a groundbreaking surgery or a grotesque charade, the consequences will ripple through Los Angeles, promising either the exposure of a heartless scammer or the tragic silencing of a medical renegade who dared to operate beyond the law. Until Liam's fate is irrefutably confirmed, by a scan, a relapse, or Grace's flight, the scalpel Grace wielded cuts not just flesh, but the very fabric of truth, leaving viewers and characters alike suspended in a state of dreadful uncertainty, pondering whether they just witnessed a medical miracle or a million-dollar murder. Liam Spencer, a man whose recent existence reads like a brutal anthology of near-death experiences, a relentless brain tumor gnawing at his core, a bullet fired by the volatile Luna Nozawa tearing through his flesh, each episode a chilling testament to his fragile hold on life, yet it is the very promise of salvation, a staggering million-dollar surgery championed by the formidable Dr. Grace Buckingham, that now casts the longest and most sinister shadow over his future, transforming his hospital room into a nerve-wracking crucible where desperate hope collides violently with the corrosive whispers of deceit and financial avarice. As the latest, pulse-quickening B&B spoilers reveal, the air crackles with paternal desperation as Bill Spencer, stripped of his usual corporate armor and radiating raw fear, confronts Dr. Buckingham, his voice a gravelly plea for tangible hope, a lifeline for the son whose survival seems perpetually dangling by the thinnest of threads. Is there any real hope to save Liam? He demands. The unspoken terror hanging heavy, the dread that this complex, astronomically priced neurosurgical intervention might be nothing more than a macabre illusion, a final, devastating con played upon a family already pushed to the precipice of despair. This profound unease is not merely the product of a father's natural terror, it is actively fueled by a deeply unsettling visual narrative unfolding simultaneously, a scene depicting Dr. Grace Buckingham, the architect of Liam's potential resurrection, her expression unnervingly inscrutable, coolly authorizing the transfer of an enormous, unspecified lump sum directly into her account via her smartphone, an act conducted with chilling nonchalance amidst the sterile, life-and-death atmosphere of the hospital, a transaction devoid of any transparent justification within the sacred confines of legitimate medical practice, instantly transforming her from skilled healer into a figure shrouded in ethically bankrupt ambiguity. This single, damning image resonates like a thunderclap, amplified tenfold by the hushed, urgent conference witnessed between the hospital's very pillars of integrity, Dr. John Finnegan and Dr. Bridget Forrester, whose furrowed brows and tense body language speak volumes as they dissect Grace's unorthodox approach. Their dialogue, sharp with professional alarm, confirms this million-dollar gambit flagrantly deviates from established normal procedure and protocol, raising terrifying, unspoken questions. Is this experimental technique recklessly dangerous? Is Liam being transformed into an unwitting, high-stakes guinea pig? Or, infinitely more sinister, is the exorbitant fee itself the real objective, with Liam's survival becoming a mere inconvenient variable in a lucrative, potentially fatal equation? This swirling vortex of suspicion, what funny business is Grace up to? Fans scream online, echoing the dread coiling in the pit of every viewer's stomach, paints every action she takes with Liam as a terrifying game of Russian roulette, where the chamber she spins holds not bullets, but surgical instruments and financial incentives, each click potentially signaling his doom not from the disease itself, but from the hands entrusted with his cure. Consequently, the agonizing, central question metastasizes beyond the tumor's threat: is Liam Spencer going to die? The answer, chillingly, seems less dependent on the malignant cells in his brain and more on the murky motivations of the doctor wielding the scalpel and the speed at which the truth can be unearthed. Time, that most precious and dwindling commodity, hemorrhages away with each passing moment. Liam lies vulnerable on the operating table, his fate resting in palms that may be slick with greed rather than guided by the Hippocratic oath. While Steffi Forrester, his ex-wife and mother of his child, and Hope Logan, his deeply conflicted soulmate, drown in oceans of uncontrollable tears, their shared history and love for Liam rendering them momentarily paralyzed by the sheer, overwhelming horror of the situation. It falls to Bill Spencer, the ruthless titan of industry whose love for his son transcends his often morally gray persona, to become the unlikely, desperate avenger. Armed with a father's ferocious instinct and resources few can match, Bill emerges as the singular force capable of piercing the veil of medical jargon and financial obfuscation Grace has potentially woven. He is the one character driven by pure, unadulterated paternal fury to get to the bottom of all this before it's too late, to dissect Grace's motives, verify the legitimacy of the surgery, and expose any con regarding the very nature or severity of Liam's illness, should one exist. The collective breath of Genoa City and the show's vast audience is held, prayers silently scream towards the heavens, here's hoping that he acts fast. For the brutal, inescapable truth is that Liam's fragile life currently resides not just in the hands of a surgeon, but potentially in the clutches of a mercenary who might, for the cold allure of selfish reasons and financial gains, deliberately steer the procedure towards tragedy, transforming the operating room from a sanctuary of healing into a calculated killing floor disguised as medical necessity. This pervasive fear, this nightmarish scenario where salvation is a transactional illusion, has ignited the internet into a frenzied inferno of speculation and outrage. For sure Bill will find out what's really going on with Liam's illness and if Dr. Grace is conning him about Liam's illness. Bill will do anything possible for Liam, declares one resonant fan comment, capturing the collective yearning for Bill's formidable will and resources to be the decisive factor, the bulwark against betrayal. Others dissect Grace's every past action, searching for clues to her character, while debates rage about the ethics of such an expensive, off-protocol procedure even if legitimate. The $1 million surgery stands as a grotesque symbol. It represents the extreme, almost mythical cost of clinging to life in a world of privilege, yet simultaneously embodies the terrifying vulnerability that wealth creates, attracting predators disguised as saviors. Liam Spencer, caught in this agonizing limbo between groundbreaking medicine and potential homicide for hire, between his family's desperate love and a doctor's chilling avarice, embodies the ultimate soap opera stakes, a life literally on the line, not just from disease, but from the very cure promised to save it, making every second of Bill's investigation, every flicker of doubt on Finn and Bridget's faces, and every sterile beep of the hospital monitor a symphony of unbearable suspense. Where hope is a flickering candle in a hurricane of doubt. The price of Liam's survival may indeed be $1 million, but the hidden cost, should Grace's intentions prove malignant, could be the utter corruption of the medical trust and the annihilation of a beloved character, sacrificed not to illness, but to the darkest depths of human greed.